storm clouds moving in. Whatever's gonna happen, it's about to begin. I remember what the drunk donkey told me when he said, son, don't fear. Mike's where the page life is about to appear. Then he's gonna tell you about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you which way it's going, and if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news that they try to hide. Just click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Well, there'll always be some haters, but they don't understand that Mike's got a friend and 100,000 more across the land. Well, if you want to know it first and you want to know it right and you want to have time to plan, Drunk Donkey Nation tells your friend Mike, he's your man. Then he's gonna tell you all about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you if it's gonna be a storm or if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news others try to hide. Click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Yeah, here at Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nation Pride.
All right. That was Hurricane Ida footage that yours truly took. That was my drone a couple years back. If you recall, Hurricane Ida, sneaky little storm that went up the Gulf of Mexico. Kind of like we're going to be talking about right now. We were live this morning. We talked about how important today was, and it turned out very important, as now we got a Category 2 hurricane expected to be nearing landfall earlier now, Wednesday. Okay, we're talking midday Wednesday, which means effects start to go downhill fast. So tomorrow's pretty much your only day to get ready, because it's going to be there early Wednesday. So yeah, I forgot the countdown timer. So what's going on? It's Mike from Mike's Very Page, here to talk tropics. We're going to go, this is our dirty 30-minute special. We should call it the Orange Blossom special, like tribute to Charlie Daniels. I'm going to get right into it. We're going to show you all the latest maps, models, to try to help you with the latest. Things are pretty much getting tweaked, fine-tuned right now. The National Hurricane Center's got 3 planes going out pretty soon. Hurricane hunters are going to be out there. So pretty much here on out is sticking to official National Hurricane Center guidance, especially if you are in the area of any flooding or surge or evacuations. You should be listening to your emergency management right now, EOC offices, local meteorologists. So it's coming. Let me show you all the latest. So we got a definite hurricane on its way to the northern Gulf of Mexico, and I got hopefully everything ready to go, condensed to make things a whole lot easier. Now tomorrow morning I'm heading out to storm document tonight as soon as we're done, and we'll do something in the morning live. I'll do it from the road, 9:19 Eastern, 8:19 Central. But by tomorrow morning, everybody should pretty much know where this thing's going. So I'll be constantly updating as always. As I talked about this morning, when I am storm chasing, there'll be a lot of live videos, okay? But you got to scroll past those. I will be updating a lot, okay? A lot more than normal. So I'll be updating probably every 30 minutes something. You just got to scroll through my feed wherever you're watching me from. Be in the new WMWP chat for our Brew Crew subscribers, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, who'd I forget? Facebook, I don't know, YouTube, all that stuff. So We'll be doing that all tomorrow. But let's talk about Francine. All right, so we had a huge bubble of convection today. This current look, starting to get it back. Naturally, these things, cloud tops warm. They kind of go through these cycles. We're starting to see a new cycle beginning. This is a little bit of dry air coming in, a little bit. But the overall structure of this thing is incredible. A lot of fear about rapid intensification here in the next 24 hours. So that's just a definition of lowering pressures in a 24-hour window. So hurricane hunters are out there right now. They got 3 planes going in, and they're going to be watching for pressure drops. And it'll be really tricky how this can intensify before it makes that final approach to the upper Gulf Coast. I am going to talk about that shift west. We're not, nothing huge has changed in the forecast. Okay, there's no conspiracy. This isn't going to hit Florida Peninsula. This isn't going to, turn into Mexico. I mean, the track's pretty solid, and I'm going to show you why here. But anyway, there's the latest on that. We got an eye starting to clear out. We saw that earlier. Here's water vapor. Even though we got a little bit of dry air that mixing in, still decent moisture coming around, so it doesn't appear that it's a lot of dry air. Moisture map is extremely healthy here tonight on that. The Brownsville radar earlier today picked up the eye, and you can still see it. Here's Brownsville, Texas, and there is your eye. So we're already starting to see some bands. I'm surprised they didn't issue any tropical storm warnings. But anyway, we got bands nearing the Texas coastline. That's current radar, and that's what we're going to be watching. So there it is. There is an eye on radar, and it's going to hug that Texas coast, and it's going to start to turn off to the northeast. Pretty confident on that. I'm very confident on that. I posted that a bunch today. So here's the latest. All right, these are the new graphics in the National Hurricane Center. A lot of questions on what does this hatched area mean. Well, first off, we got yellow tropical storm watches across Texas. Blue is tropical storm warnings that spread pretty far inland. Red is hurricane warnings. Blue is the continuation of tropical storm warnings mingled in with hurricane watches. So this area that's pink hatched is actually hurricane watch along with hurricane or tropical storm warnings. So we might see, I'm thinking we'll probably see hurricane warnings extend inland. We might just be out of the window of 36 hours right now. So I don't know. We got tropical storm warnings though. So, be surprised. Don't be surprised if we see hurricane warnings extended inland on the 11 o'clock advisory today. So anyway, here's a new cone. That's what we got. Yellow's tropical storm watches. There you go. Shouldn't be any big surprises. That's all available now. National Hurricane Center. We did see it. I think it was a little nudge west, not a huge nudge west. Track is very confident. So, we're kind of in the final countdown here. Landfall's a little earlier now, 1 p.m.-ish on Wednesday. This is Central Time. So 1 p.m. Wednesday Central Time, and that's sped up a lot. I saw some posts, people kind of panicking in Louisiana now because that's a day away. Tomorrow is pretty much the only day to get ready and prepare. Wednesday it's going to be here. You're going to start getting outer bands early Wednesday, maybe some tomorrow night as this thing approaches. Here's the cone. Again, remember the cone is anywhere that the eye can go. It's not where the effects are. Can't say that enough. Everybody in this cone technically could have the eye. We could have a little shift to the west. We could have a little shift to the east. Every update, the cone gets a little smaller, a little tighter. And this is our hurricane warnings for pretty much that whole cone. So a little bit of Texas there on the outer edge. And obviously stretching east, Baton Rouge, close to New Orleans. As this thing goes northward. It's got a big wind field. This is the winds now. Important to note, the effects of this thing are going to be felt very wide to the east. We're going to see a lot of squall lines coming in off the Gulf of Mexico as this thing goes north. So don't focus just on that cone. A lot of inland effects and effects to the east. There will be less on the west side. We're going to have dry air coming in. There's a front line now. There's going to be shear. So the common theme is it's going to either plateau on approach or even weaken a little bit on approach. Big questions on what will happen, but it's going to be moving fast. It won't have a chance to weaken much. It'll be coming ashore or moving inland. So they don't expect, really a lot of intensification at landfall because we have a lot of wind shear coming in, dry air coming in, and the waters are actually a little cooler along the coastline. So it's time to really intensify. Pretty much is through tomorrow night into early Wednesday morning. Still a lot of time, but you're going to see heavy rain all the way north. You're going to feel it all the way north. Let's look at some other stuff here. Here are your surge warnings in pink. If you're curious, these are your storm surge warnings. Watches are in light pink, and that includes the New Orleans area all the way to Mississippi-Alabama line. So they're watching for potential storm surge impacts there. Here's the latest numbers. They didn't change these at the 5 o'clock advisory. It's still 5 to 10 feet. Pretty large area there across Louisiana. Now, that doesn't mean everybody's going to get it. It just means wherever this thing sets up. Remember, it's such a tricky thing, storm surge. A 10-mile shift will move that surge with it. And if it shifts to the east, nobody to the west is going to probably get much. And then you're going to be like, well, I had a 10-foot surge warning. Well, it's all dependent on the track. And, obviously, wherever, landfall is, you're going to get an initial, bulge of surge there. But pretty much most of the surge happens on the east side as the water spins around, pushes up against the coast. So you got more surge on the east side. Very little the farther out you go on the west side. So that's why we're seeing 4 to 7 feet here all the way to the Mississippi. Again, if we get a little track shift, all this surge goes with it. But 5 to 10 foot, pretty high numbers there. Again, if the intensity goes up just a little bit, these are going to go up a lot more. There are some still concerned it could reach Cat 3. It would only be 15 more miles an hour, right? Is that the cutoff? 115, I believe. I think I would know this. No, it's 110. 111. So it's only got 11 more miles an hour to be a Cat 3. Could happen. Okay, so here's some other graphics to show you real quick. Rainfall, obviously. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about rain. We know there's going to be a lot of rain. Double-digit rains are possible. Some of the modeling is a lot more than this. We are going to have dry air wrapping around the backside, so that is good news. And it's going to be moving, which is good news. So it's not going to stop and linger. It's not a Harvey. But these are your official maps. These are on my website. They adjust all the time. You can pretty much get an idea. New Orleans area, you're going to get a lot of these side bands coming in. When our storm pulls off to the north here, we're going to have a tail coming in, and that's going to bring rain training. So it's deceiving. Storm will be past later Wednesday, even into Thursday, but we're going to still see a tail of storms, and this could reach all the way to the Florida Panhandle. We can see some pretty heavy rains as this thing pulls up, as our system pulls out of here. Flooding risks have really not changed much. Still got red. Flooding potential for the next several days. And yellow goes way far north, all the way up to Ohio. Or Missouri, excuse me. Into Kentucky. All right, some other modeling maps. All right, so earlier today we talked about this. Okay, so this was all over the internet. Oh my God. So the hurricane hunters found a center that was pretty good little shift to the west. Definitely got some panic going on all across the internet, thinking that this thing was going to go into Texas, but it's not. The steering patterns are still the same. Upper level winds are still the same. This thing's riding a high pressure ridge, and it would take that to change for this thing to get pushed, okay? Stronger the system gets, it's going to want to ride that high pressure system. So if anything, it's actually fighting that high pressure system. So we did not see, I don't think we saw a huge change. We saw, they said they nudged it west, they did. But the overall steering pattern is not changed, even though the center kind of relocated a little bit. So that, that has not changed much. I know there are a lot of folks were thinking this thing was going to change a lot. Now I put this graphic out to kind of show you what the latest 12Z GFS and the Euro. So this is tomorrow afternoon. Both of them are showing our system very close to the coast, closer than what it is now. So it is still expected, and then they both show this turn around that ridge and up into middle Louisiana. So these operational models don't get fed data like spaghetti models. These just run independently. So they're recognizing current weather patterns, not shifts of center. They're looking at the whole weather steering and pattern, and so that's where I was pretty comfortable that we weren't going to see a very big shift at all, because we didn't see it happening with these global models. So that's kind of where we're at. Spaghetti models themselves, these just came out. 18Zs are fresh. They're out about 4 o'clock. Yep. These are on tropicaltidbits.com. You can see high confidence. Again, a couple of them are touching the Texas, Louisiana line. Majority of them are middle to western Louisiana. That's what we got. So, not a lot of change in the last 24 hours as far as the steering of our system. So that's pretty good confidence. We're not really seeing some systems were very complicated. This one's not complicated. This one's riding that high pressure around. Again, the only big question mark we had this morning was will the NHC increase intensity to the models, and they did. And now they're showing 100-mile-an-hour hurricane. A lot different than yesterday, showing 75-mile-an-hour hurricane. So that's a big jump. So they're expecting that. And they do discuss possible weakening right at landfall with the dry air, with the cooler waters, a lot of wind shear. That's the theme. But the question is, will it be strong enough that it could, fight it off for a little while as it moves inland? And sometimes these systems can create their own environment and kind of fight off some of that dry air. So it'll be interesting. Let me show you the latest models on high intensity models. These are your model intensity models with several shown Cat 2. So they've adjusted quite a bit. Now these are your latest 12Z. Now the 18Z just probably ran, so I'm going to look at that. These are your very well used and very highly reputable and very consistent models. Didn't post them a couple days ago because they were all over the place. Didn't make sense, but they do make sense now. You got all 4 of them. There's the HMON, there's the halves A, halves B, and the HWRF, and they're all showing 977 millibar down to 962 millibar. Pretty strong Cat 2 if it's 962, but pretty healthy looking. We do have some dry air on the halves B that's starting to come around. We got some dry air here coming around. So they're starting to pick up this dry air coming around. But the core of the system, unfortunately, looks like it's going to outrace the rougher conditions. So we're, typically the northeast side, north side is the rough side as it comes in off the Gulf of Mexico. There's been years we've seen sometimes, for some reason, the northwest side a little stronger. Seeing that a little bit here on some of these models, maybe because of the dry air, eroding a little bit on the east side. But overall, it's going to be a significant hurricane approaching the coastline on Wednesday. Pretty good model consensus there. So let's see if the latest 18Zs are out. I hope they are. Nope. Darn it. I think the HASS runs first. Let's take a look there. If not, I'll post them later. Maybe the HASS. Nope. Okay. None of them are run yet. So that's all we got. We got more models coming later. So those are that. I guess we can look at the latest GFS and the latest 18Z GFS just came out. So no, it didn't. It's running now too. Darn it. So the Icon ran. The Icon is the first 18Z model run, and it's pretty consistent. Right there, smack dab middle Louisiana, right there, going inland some. So that confidence is there, confidence is there. I do want to talk about this real quick. There's a lot of buzz, and it seems like every other comment, people worried about the Atlantic. Listen, I'm just not seeing anything. That has not changed. Invest 92 is actually fizzling out a little bit. I know this time of season, tomorrow's peak season, by the way, but you see some of the Atlantic, you're like, oh my God. But, keeping it real, like always, trying to be, honest and just, this is the trend. The trends have been a turn before Bermuda, so yeah, like I said, the only ones watching yesterday were Puerto Rico and maybe the Virgin Islands, maybe Bermuda. But we don't see any signs of this thing going more west. So we're not worried about that. That's not on the radar. And this is all the way to September 24th. So, maybe one of them will get named. But again, it looks like they're going to curve. We got a frontal line. The Bermuda high is weak right now. That means these things like to turn. So yeah, I don't see anything with that one. I don't see anything with that one. Again, HMON's showing maybe the Virgin Islands, but majority of the Invest 92 here is curving. And that'll be what we watch. But I'm really kind of just focused on our system now. I do want to look at GFS though real quick. Let's look at what it's showing for any of these systems. Look at that. Totally nothing. So I've seen a bunch of posts about it hitting the United States, but I don't see anything. Maybe a homegrown system. This can happen. We've seen these before. This is a little homegrown action. I think the Euro was showing that too. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe on the AI. I don't know. There's just nothing solid to talk about. Yeah, nothing. So Chris, what name is it? Francine is all we got. So you can say fish storm on that one, Michelle. Yep. A fish storm means it doesn't affect anybody on land. So all right. I'll read some comments now. We got a few minutes. Again, I got a lot of great sponsors that are going to be there chasing. I got a lot of stuff with the news. News knows I go now. So you'll probably see some stuff on TV. But I'm heading out here in a minute. We'll be live in the morning at 9:19 Eastern. I'll do some sort of a live in the truck to get everybody up to date. Remember, usually when I go live, I'll start out the live with a live weather update, and then I go storm chasing. So you want to make sure you somehow have notifications on. I don't know how you do it. And, sometimes Facebook does it, sometimes they don't. I think X does really good with notifications, and maybe YouTube does too. I don't know, but we'll be streaming for sure on all three of those platforms. And like I said, there'll be a lot of weather posts. You just got to scroll. If you go to my webpage here, Mike's Weather page, all the posts are right here that I've been posting throughout the day. So you can always see them here if you want to see the latest. If you have the app, I also have Mike's post on there if you're curious of anything that I've been posting. And we do have a section on PT or on Francine, and that was Florence. That was old. That used to be Florence. Back in the day, that was the name that they replaced Florence with. So that was 6 years ago, Florence. So anyway, there shouldn't be any big questions. I don't see any significant track changes coming. Upper level winds are very confident on this thing. There is a window that this could develop. Here's the steering currents. That's going to follow this high, follow these little arrows. That's old school mapping right there. This is on point. You know, I think the only thing sneaky is going to be these tails of the tropical bands that might come into play here. Let's see if I can look at it on weather models. The east side bands that might reach even the Florida panhandle is always a possibility. So let's go to radar, and so there's a good example right there. So this is Thursday morning, okay? Our system's made it landfall. There's some dry air wrapping it in around, but look at that. You know, these could be quite strong. We'll see. But that is a real representation of the east side of the system. Could have trailing bands of storms coming in off that Gulf of Mexico as our system goes to the north. So that's a really good example right there, what it could look like. And some of these could make it to the Big Bend area. So that's very, I probably should post that. But that's exactly what we were talking about with these tails in feeder bands that rotate in. And likely tornado warnings will be in these bands, okay? Very likely. Whether or not they verify, we never know that kind of stuff. But don't be surprised if we get a lot of tornado warnings. We had 200 plus with Beryl. We had 150 plus with Debbie. They were only Cat 1s. And we had hundreds, literally hundreds of tornado warnings with Beryl. And we had 130, I think, 135 with Debbie. Tornado warnings. I think the SPC is starting to show this too, by the way. I think we got an SPC. There's that's 3 days out, so this will get shifted over some, probably for Thursday, more. But there, you're already seeing it. Marginal threat, slight risk where the storm's coming ashore. You know, and they're going to talk about a few tornadoes are possible on Wednesday. So we don't have Thursday yet. So we're going to have something on Thursday over here more as our system goes to the north. So that's a definite. You will see dark green at least covering more of the Florida and into Alabama more. And maybe Georgia as our system pulls to the north. So that was a good graphic to pull up. Power outages are going to be widespread. Can't stop it. Saturation levels are tremendous right now on the upper Gulf Coast. You've had nothing but rain for, seems like forever, right? Unfortunately, 100-mile-an-hour winds are going to blow trees down and you're going to lose power. So power outages are going to be huge. They're always huge in Louisiana, unfortunately. There's a lot of evacuations going on currently along the coastline. And, yeah, so we get a new update at 11. And we'll see if there's any changes. I know the hurricane hunters are out there right now. Let's see if this one took off yet. Yep, they just took off. Looks like as these guys took off out of Louisiana. This one had left Tampa Bay. Lakeland, it's heading over. And this one's finished. So we got 2 on the way. Oh, we got another one right here. So we got 3 planes out there right now. This is upper level drop zones. A lot of people ask me about drop zones. So upper level winds. So they're measuring the high pressure right now. There's our plane. There's our system. They're actually measuring upper air pressures and humidity. A couple things. Why? Well, the strength of this high pressure will determine how east our system can go. Stronger high pressure, more west, meaning of the cone. Weakening high pressure system would allow a little turn. I still think we could see a wiggle back east a little bit. Stronger systems just naturally have a tendency to tick east in the Gulf of Mexico. They also measure humidity levels because you want a moist upper air environment, and they measure stuff like that. So it's fascinating. They don't only just measure, you know, the storm. They actually measure the atmosphere ahead to help with steering and potential intensity. So it's pretty crazy. So I went by my dad's today. Guess what I got? You know I did this in Texas, right? Look at this. I got page 43. 42, actually. 43, 42, 44. Louisiana. Came in so handy with Barrel. Navigation will only work to a point. You got to have maps at your fingertips. So I got Louisiana map. And I got the old Storm Chaser hat ready to go. So you'll probably see a video of me out there in the wind somewhere. It's a good look. They are not natural. They kind of look like Emily. They look terribly dark right now, but they're actually not that dark. So they're actually kind of light. But when you go by your, when you're kind of out there for 10 hours on the road by yourself, you get kind of weird. But so, all right, all these questions about shifts. I've talked to, oh gosh, let's just focus on that cone right now. The cone's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. My history shows me, or tells me, that 2 days out, rarely does this thing follow the exact cone. And I think today maybe we saw that. So let's kind of show you where we're at here, 3 days. Let's look at archives. And graphics archive, and we'll do 3 day with a line, and we'll stop it here. So here's kind of, I got another graphic to show you, but here's where we are. Nope, they don't have the new one up yet. That was the 1 p.m. one. Damn it. They don't have the new 5 p.m. yet. Well, anyway, that's where it was. It wasn't a huge shift. That's where it was. And then here's where we are. So I can put them side by side, I guess. So we'll put these side by side. They made a big deal about it being a shift, but it really wasn't. Here's where it was this morning at 11, and then here's where it was. I mean, it was a slight shift west. But this is going to wiggle and wobble around. Maybe that was our shift. I don't know. But you can see how it's tighter now too. See how much wider it was? The confidence increases with every update. Now that we're within 36 hours, it might be getting pretty much locked in place right now. So we look at things like ensembles, we go to Weather Nerds. I mean, we just don't see it with this system. We don't see much change. We don't see any radical thinking other than this guy right here. This is a rebel right here. This guy, I'm going back down to Mexico. But we just don't see it. Some storms we see a lot of, discrepancy with modeling. But one I wanted to show you here. Check all these links out. Everything on this second column is all links to play with. I encourage you to click on every single one of them. I like this Tang guidance right here. This will tell you the official trends on the track. And realistically, it has not changed in the last 24 hours much at all. It started over here, here. Now it came back. The darkest blue is current. The next color blue was 11 a.m. The 5 a.m. is pretty much where it was now. So that little wiggle, little back, but not a massive change in thinking. So if we saw the tracks, not reacting. If we saw a lot of spaghetti doing this, then we would know there's an opportunity that this thing could turn with it. But the fact that it's almost bending back up due to the weakening frontal line, the chances of this thing going much further east would be slim. I mean, that's why we have a cone. So, yeah, I'm pretty solid. I'm pretty solid on these steering currents. So big question now will be rapid intensification. And that's the question I think everybody's got. And we'll find that out tonight. We start seeing pressure drops through the night and tomorrow, then, we'll see. But it's going to get a little rocky here in South Texas, even though you're not under a tropical storm warning. Believe it or not, you got some bands coming awfully close to you right now. Surprised they didn't go tropical storm warning for Texas. Here is kind of what we're looking at. And it's pretty darn close to South Texas right now. I know we got a lot of people down there in South Texas watching, but there's one band getting ready to come ashore. That one right there, look at that. So you're going to start feeling the first impact soon. And there's a clear eye. I mean, look at that. That is solid eye showing on radar. Look at that. So once this thing starts clearing out the cloud tops, man, we're going to see it on satellite soon. And it'll be a hurricane before you know it. It's trying to clear out. We saw it earlier today. We were doing our live this morning, and I think we saw it try to peek out there earlier today. All right. Cool. What about? Well, there you go. All right. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Shelly, for being there. We will post throughout the night. Last post tonight for me will probably be the 11 o'clock next advisory at 11. So we'll see what they say, what they do. It's pretty much cut and dry now where it's going. Intensity could still pop up a little bit. If, there's still some wiggle room. It could still reach major. It only needs 11 miles an hour officially. And let me show you the reason. I know, Shelly, one more thing. I could talk all damn night. That's why I didn't want to do it at 9. I would have never been on the road. But this dry air that's coming into play on the humidity maps is the brown air, and you'll start to see it get ingested here at the last second. This is what's expected on Wednesday night. Some of these models are still a little slower than the NHC. I'm surprised. That's really surprising, actually. So this is the landfall for the Euro showing a little bit later Wednesday night, actually. It's in the same 6-hour window, but anyway, there's that dry air coming into play. There's going to be some wind shear wrapping in behind it, so that dry air, is going to might help it weaken a little bit more. But big question. Still 983 millibar over land. That's still going to be whipping up a lot of storms and winds and power outages and damages. Anytime you get anything under 990 over land, it's still got a lot of punch. You got a lot of marshes down here, a lot of marshland. This thing will be feeding off of that, so it's not going to go away that quick. And you're going to feel it north. I mean, you're going to feel, anytime you get these tighter gradients, you're going to feel a lot of wind. This is going into Thursday. That's just what the big question is. It appears the storm is going to outrun this dry air intrusion until it actually makes landfall. And that's kind of what the models are hinting at. A lot of moisture running up. There's the latest GFS. 18Z is 971. So again, that's a pretty strong, Cat 2 on approach. So you always worry about last second strengthening. The Gulf is a little cooler. We got a loop eddy. I talked about that a lot this morning. We got a loop eddy out there. So there's you never turn your back on the Gulf, and this one has proven that. And here we are looking at least Cat 2. So puppies are snoring. Yep, Sherry. Yep. Sorry, Shelly. I know 30 minutes is the dirty 40. Oh, man. No, we're not talking about any other system. There's no other systems to talk about. Nothing else is imminent. There's nothing. They all look like they're turning away. So this is it. This is the only game in town. So you're struggling to read these, New Orleans. You want to know about New Orleans? I just talked about New Orleans. Oh, my God. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, see y'all in the morning. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be live on the road in the morning with our 9:19 Eastern update. All right. So have a great evening. Thanks for